Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn how to create a MySQL container using Docker. Remember that we have created all of our services using Docker. We created a Jenkins container and a remote host container. So let's go ahead and create a MySQL container. So the first thing that we need to do is that we need to go to the Jenkins data folder and we need to modify the Docker compose file. So we're going to add a new service. Remember that you can name services as you want. In this case, I'm just gonna name it as DV host. And remember that we're going to be using this name to reach this host from this remote host and from this Jenkins. It means that if I go inside of this container or inside of this container and then I try to ping this host, I will have an answer. So let's keep it like this. And now let's add a container name for this service, which is going to be DV. Let's add an image, which is going to be the MySQL 5.7 image. Remember that in Docker, images are like a snapshot, and if you have the image for the service that you want, then you have all of the configuration for that service. If you're not sure about how to find this image, you can simply head to google.com and then look for MySQL Docker, and you're going to end up looking at this page. And in here, you're going to see that the name of the image is MySQL, as you can read here, and these are the supported tags. So a tag is like version. So in this case, we're going to use in the MySQL image colon the tag, which is 5.7. Cool. And now, in order to give our database a password, we need to read a little bit the documentation and we need to look for this. As you can see here in Docker, for the MySQL image, we need to provide an environment variable which is called like this. So let's go ahead and copy this password, this variable I mean, and now we're going to say, hey Docker compose, I'm gonna pass you an environment variable using the environment instruction, and this environment is going to be the variable that I just copied, and then I will give you the password, and guess the password, 1 2 3 4. Okay, cool. So after this, we're going to create a volume. So again, as in Jenkins, we're going to create a volume to persist the data. It means if we delete the container, then the important data is going to be saved. So let's go ahead and create a DV data folder in here. Let's put a colon, exactly the same thing as Jenkins, and here we're going to pass the container path where the MySQL data lives. So that lives in var left MySQL. You can read the Docker documentation to find it out. So if I do like var left MySQL, then you are going to find examples for this. And as you can see, it means the host directory, and then it means the container directory. So we're passing here the container directory, and this is going to be a local folder that will be created. So now, the last thing that we need to do, guess what it is? We need to define the networks. The networks are pretty important because without the networks, containers can't reach each other. So let's go ahead and join this container to the network, like the remote host and like the Jenkins container. Let's save this. And now, in order to recreate this new service, if you hit Docker PS, then you are going to see only two services. So in order to create the MySQL container, you need to do docker compose app-d, and that is going to create the service. So you define this image in your Docker compose file, and now you are telling Docker to create this service using that image, but that image doesn't exist on your machine. So Docker is going to be downloading this image for you, and then you're going to have this image completely. Cool. If you do Docker images, then you have your image downloaded here. Pretty nice. Now, if you do a Docker PS, you are going to see your service up and running here. And if you do an ls, you're going to see that the folder that we define in the volume section is actually created in here. Pretty cool. So how do you know when MySQL is ready? Because it takes some seconds for this container to be ready. So let's go to docker logs-f and let's give the name of the container, which is dv. If we do this, then you are going to see all of the logs for this specific container. And in here, as you can see, you should expect for this line. MySQL is ready for connection. Once this line appears, it means that your service is up and running. So let's go ahead and check that this is correct. Let's log in into our newly created container using docker-exec-ti dv bash. Remember that dv stands for the container name. So hit enter, and now we're inside of the MySQL container. So let's try to log in using the root user and the password that we provided. In the Docker compose file is an environment variable, which is 1234. Hit enter, and then you are connected to your database in a container. Cool. So if you type something like show databases, then you will have all of the information. So this is pretty nice. Let's get out of the container. And now, as you can see, you have your 3 services up and running using Docker. So this is it for this video. I'll see you in the next lesson.